I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. One of the most misheard lyrics in all of music. Excuse me while I kiss the sky. But a lot of people will say, excuse me while I kiss this guy. And by the way, Jimmy used to do that sometimes on stage. He would just say it that way because that's what people thought, and he would make fun. To talk about this, by the way, folks, we're going to be talking about ergogenics today. Ergogenics are, supplements that may and can help you perform better athletically or feel better just walking around all day long. Are these things worth it? Are they not worth it? Where does it stop at just being a good supplement and becomes a drug? There's a lot of confusion about all of this. And since we've been talking about building up your body and keeping muscle on and everything else, I figured it was important to do an episode on this. So to help me talk about this, we're going to bring him in. I'm talking about the beautiful, the vivacious Mr. Chris Schaffer. Yeah. So Chris, there were two artists, I'm sure more, that they would just change the words to what people thought they were in the song. Jimmy would often do that on stage. He would say, excuse me while I kiss this guy, because that's what a lot of people thought he was saying back in 1969. 69. Okay. And there was another one, ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, where he's saying, don't drag me down or don't get me down, Groos, Groos, or whatever it's spelled, Groos, which means, hey, broski. It's kind of a, I guess, Hackney slang for, hey, bro, don't get me down. Don't get me down, Groos. But everybody thought he was talking about some dude named Bruce. So he would do that on stage. He would yell out Bruce instead of Groos. Guess it didn't really change the song a whole lot since it sounded the same. Any thoughts, Chris, before we move on to the actual subject at hand?
Well, what about the other one, Vinny?
Oh, there's
that I
tons
know
of them. I mean, we could do a whole episode of them.
CCR, right? The bathroom on the right.
Yeah. Yeah. There was another one in a song where for years, where the bus and all the tourists are gone. I thought they were saying something else. Year of the Cat, the song Year of the Cat.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's saying, it's late in the evening and all the bus and the tourists are gone. I can't remember what I used to think, but I used to think it was something else. It sounded like he's saying something about a cigar or something. It's like really fast. I couldn't remember what I thought it was. Right. But if we find that song, you'll know what I'm talking about. But we could go on and on with that. Chris, ergogenics. Now, do we have a definition for just ergogenics, just by itself? What do we consider an ergogenic?
So my definition of it is anything that enhances athletic performance. A lot of people think an ergogenic is like just a fat burning aid, but I think you and I agree it's a substantially broader category of things than that.
Well, all right, so let me clear that up. You can in sports, there's ergogenic aids. It's something you ingest pretty much in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a needle or just putting it in your mouth. Or, and I'm not kidding about this, folks. Back in the day, they used to inject stuff up their butts. I'm not making that part up. And we can get into that in a minute if you'd like. But there's also ergonomic aids, right? You ever notice when you watch the Olympics are going on right now as we record this, just watching all the ice skating events, there are different ice skates for everything. The hockey players have a certain kind that they turn and cut really fast and what have you. The skaters have a certain kind that's got like a little grip on the front. So when they're getting ready to do that triple Lutz or quadruple, the quad god and all right, they have to stop really like you're going, wait, how's this guy slipping along the ice? And then they just jump straight up. Well, they have like a little, is nudged out on the front of those blades right at the curve of it. They go up on that thing and it stops them in their track and they're able to push straight up, right? You don't need that on the hockey skate. And then you got the speed skaters. You got two kinds. You got the kind that Apollo Ono used to do, the little short track thing that looks like, they wear the helmets. They kind of look like women. You remember the women used to do roller derby on roller skates? They go around the little short track, right? So they put like 5 people on a little short track, and basically it's like roller derby because they never finish with all 5 or 6 on the track. 2 or 3 of them crash out. One guy crosses the line. That's what Apollo Ono was good at. Well, if you look at those skates, the whole blade is attached to the skate. The whole blade, right? But if you look at the ones that Yuta, is that her name? The hot-looking chick from the Netherlands, Yuta, and my other favorite one, Femke Kok, who won the gold. That's her name, folks. Femke Kok. And by the way, gorgeous. They're giving the other girl that's dating the who's the guy she dates, the fighter, the YouTube guy. He just fought Mike Tyson. What's his name, Chris?
Jake Paul?
Yeah, Jake Paul dates Juta, but her name, they pronounced it Uta. The J is Uta. All right, she's like the big celebrity on the internet, but the girl that beat her out from her own country that got the gold is, in my opinion, supermodel beautiful, right? And her name was Femke Kok. I just want to move there just for the names. Hey, what's your name?
Just for people who are going to Google that, it's KOK.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I accidentally put in, I spelled it the way that it sounds and got a very different set of Google search results. So yeah, KOK, I think is how you spell it.
Her first name is spelled Femke. I think Femke and then Kok, K-O-K. Right?
Femke, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, Chris, do you see photos of her?
Not currently, but I can pull some up.
Okay, yeah, you'll see. You don't have to put them on the screen. People, if you want to look up Femke Kok, go look her up yourself. Gorgeous, just incredible, right? And there's nothing wrong with the other one, Uda, whatever her name is. But if you're choosing between the two, the other one, the one that won the gold, is the more beautiful. All right, they do the long track stuff, 500, 1,000, 1,500 meters, like the longer stuff. Their blades, when they are on the straightaway, their blades detach off the back, almost like a cross-country ski. The back comes up, because they could get more speed that way. You could keep the blade on the ice longer by doing that, right? So those are all ergogenic aids. I'm sorry, ergonomic. I'm messing up my own argument. By the way, if you notice, hockey players don't have a heel on their boot, but the figure skaters have a heel. That's not there to look pretty. That's there because it puts their foot and their body more in a forward position. They have less chance of falling back. All of it, everything happens for a reason. Those are all ergonomic aids. And I just named one sport. I can do that with every sport. Look at football. The guys on the line don't wear the same shoulder pads and helmets as the guys in the backfield and the quarterback or the defensive backs. It's all different. They need stuff to make them move certain ways. Ergonomic aids, right? Ergogenic aids are there to cause different effects. Ergogenic aids that a guy that wants to be a strong weightlifter or a strong short term, like a football player, you know, all these anaerobic sports, they might use different ergogenic aids than, say, someone running cross country or running marathons or what have you. And then there's some ergogenic aids that cross over. But the thing I can tell you is most of the ones on the market that you can buy are not worth the package they come in. Right? I see tons and tons, and we can't go through all of them because this podcast would be 25 hours long. But everything's supposed to help you do something else, right? Just in the world of weightlifting, right? Eat more protein. How much? Well, you should be getting, I tell people between a half and 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. So I weigh around 175 pounds. My lean body mass is probably 150 pounds. So if I took 1 gram, that would be 150 grams of protein per day. So if I get between 100 and 150 on any given day, I'm doing well. If you listen to Bro Science, they'll say, Broski, you need at least 150 and upwards of 300. It's too much. And then they'll say, well, what's the best way to get that protein? Well, animal protein would be the best way because you're going to get all of the amino acids. Eggs come to mind. Eggs are like a superfood just in its own little package. That's why bodybuilders and everyone else that want to put on muscle, people who are serious about athletics, they eat eggs. Period. Other great animal protein, and this isn't like second to eggs, but it's right up there, is red meat. Sorry, vegans and vegetarians, you're wrong. Red meat. I'm not here. I don't work for big meat, as I've been accused of online. I don't get paid for any. The only thing I get paid for is to tell you guys about Villicapelli and Jasper this month. Next month, it might be different. And by the way, Villicapelli and Jasper will not help you with your athletic performance.
Jasper
not that I know of. And Villicapelli might too, but it's not.
You're sleeping better at night.
Exactly. So the bottom line is red meat, eggs, and then right on top of that, chicken, which is a ton of protein, fish, a ton of protein, pork, a ton of protein. It's all good for you. That's how you want to get your protein in. And you don't need more than you need. That's all. It's that simple. Well, then, what if I can't and I'm busy and I got kids and I got a job and I got a life and a wife and everything? Okay, great. You do. Not my fault, your fault. You should have thought about that when you want to put muscle on. But you're there. You got those cute kids and you got the wife and all of it. Can I take powdered protein? Sure, you can take it, but it's not optimal. As a matter of fact, because of the way it's made, it can cause a bit of a glycogen spike, more than a bit. It just will. Now you'll go, well, Vin, you recommend it sometimes and you've taken it yourself. Yeah. When you're throwing up and you have cancer and you're sick and you need to get protein in somehow, I don't give a fuck if you eat ice cream to get the protein in. You got to get the protein in. I would prefer you not.
Especially if it's one of the protein ice creams, like is it Halo Top?
Oh, we'll get into that.
Yeah, like that totally different thing.
Yeah. But no, when I was going through cancer, sometimes you don't want to eat anything, but you got to eat something, right? I tell this to people. I coach people every day about cancer. Eat whatever you want to eat. Don't stand on ceremony. If you feel like you want to eat a pickle, eat a pickle. If you want to eat, if all of a sudden nothing is appetizing, you haven't eaten in 3 days and you want a damn M&M, eat the damn M&M, right? Get some kind of calories going in. Now, I'm giving you weird examples, but a lot of people will say, what about protein? That's when I say taking protein powder is better than not. And the best protein I've found is egg white protein in a powdered form or whey protein. Whey protein is probably the best. And the best of that is just standard whey, which happens to be the cheapest. Right? There's whey comes in several forms. Standard, then you have concentrate, which they cook it down more and you have a little more preserving. And then they have isolate, where they've bastardized it so much it's not even worth taking. Which brings up another point, ergogenics. Well, what if I just take the breakdown that we're getting from the powdered protein? Okay, what's that? Well, that would be EAAs and BCAAs. I get a lot of questions. Vinnie, I read the NIH study. I read this, that, and the other thing. They say it may be good for you. And every time I read what the companies that are selling it to me say, it's like, hey, this will definitely help me build muscle. Almost the same way as steroids. No, it won't. If it did, and Gina Grad, when Gina used to do this show, she used to love when I would say this. If it did anything like what a steroid does, it would be banned by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, and it would be banned by WADA, the World Anti-Doping Association. It's not. And the reason it's not is because it doesn't do anything to help you, regardless of what the companies say. Well, it might do a little bit, but not enough for you to eat. You can't even tell. So why? And by the way, this stuff is not cheap. And we don't know if it can do any harm to you. We just know that it's generally safe. Chris?
I think EAAs is a really interesting one because a lot of people look at BCAAs, so branched chain amino acids, not just the essential amino acids, as an interchangeable thing. And they're obviously not. If somebody here is thinking about this and you go, oh, I'll just get the BCAAs because that's got everything in it. And it's usually cheaper than an EAA. You don't want to do that either. And that's actually more counterproductive than even the EAAs would be. If you want the building blocks, eat real protein and you're going to get all of the stuff that you need.
You're going to get branched chain amino acids in exactly the form you're supposed to get. Our bodies were set up to use it that way by eating the real food. The other part of taking, and this is the part that most people don't understand, any of the studies where any of this stuff was actually good for you, a lot of it, they weren't ingesting this stuff orally. They were being injected this stuff. How's that different? Well, all right, so I'll give you kind of a cartoon version. You eat a piece of red meat. It's got fat and it's got protein and it's got every amino acid in there. It goes into your stomach. Your stomach has one of the strongest acids known to man. It's like muriatic acid, and it's like a really strong stomach. It's a real strong acid. It breaks everything out, turns it into a liquid, right? Except for any kind of fibrous stuff, it pushes it towards your intestines and gets ready to get rid of it, right? That's the stuff that comes out. But everything else, your body, when it breaks it down the stomach, it turns it into a liquid and it starts forming it into the vitamins and minerals and everything it needs to go into. Just the cartoon version. And the EAAs and the BCAAs and all of the other amino acids are protected by the food it's there with, right? With meat, it's protected. We get what we need in exactly the way we need it. That, as an atheist, that's what makes me believe there's a God, is that this is able to happen with us and with every other animal, and what they eat and what they want to eat and how they eat, right? We get what we need from that. Now, if you just took a branched chain amino acid in a white powdery form from any company, it's not protected by anything else. Now, if you were able to inject that somehow, then that's one thing. And by the way, you can't inject the powder. You can't mix it with water and inject it. Folks, don't do anything stupid. This is, clinical stuff that they do where they make this stuff just for clinical trials. Okay. That's when they find that, oh, maybe it works a little bit when they inject it. It hardly ever works whenever you take it, right? So there's that. There's all these quote unquote precursors. That's another bro science term. Well, it's a precursor to testosterone. So if you take it, your body turns it into testosterone. There's generally, I can go through all of them, but there's generally no evidence that any of that ever works, ever. Zero. Right? Again, some of it worked when they turned it into some kind of peptide and injected it. And we're going to get into peptides in a minute. Into test patients and animals, they got some results. But that's it. It doesn't mean if you go buy this stuff, it's going to work for you. It just doesn't. Chris, you look like you want to say something.
I think that's the biggest issue with looking at these types of things is there's a lot of stuff that if you just Google ergogenics or you start looking on Instagram or X or wherever about ergogenics, you're going to find 2 or 3 things. One is going to be a pre-workout. One is going to be something like a whey protein powder. And maybe you'll run into SARMS or peptides, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But in reality, ergogenics fall into one of 3 categories. One would be nutritional. So technically, your pre-workout would fall under that category. The second would be pharmacological. So that's going to be steroids, SARMs, peptides, and then physiological or mechanical, right? I don't think we need to dive too much into that, but if you're talking about something like an oxygen training mask or blood replacement, right, that's going to be more of a physiological ergogenic. So today, I think we're just going to focus kind of on the nutritional and the pharmacological side of that.
Right.
Talk about what works, what doesn't, and what people should watch out for.
And speaking of that, NAD, right? There's been a lot of talk about NAD lately. And there's some promising stuff coming around about NAD. I'm not going to lie. But everything promising that's coming out on NAD has to do with the injected form of it, not the form you buy from the store. Right? So we don't know what it can do yet, or if it's some kind of fountain of youth, right? And there's NAD precursors and all this kind of stuff. Again, I've read as much as I can read on it, and it comes down to the same thing. And people go, well, Vin, since we don't know, can I just take it anyway? Yeah. But we also don't know if its long-term effects of it can harm you, right? Once you're sitting there with inoperable cancer because you took some thing that has not been studied, now you got yourself a problem. Wish you hadn't done it, right? Because if you look at most of these studies, they'll say the study was done for X amount of days, so we think it's safe to take it for this period of time. They don't know what the long-term effects are. And then there's stuff like this study coming around in the late 80s and early 90s, DHEA. We still don't know what DHEA does. And by the way, there's so many forms of DHEA. Some of them will kill you, right? Like you can't even get them. But DHEA is sold in, there's KETO 7 DHEA, which does not do the same thing as regular DHEA. And then there's other forms that are out there. And people ask me all the time, should I be taking this? And the answer is talk to your doctor, because DHEA is something that we make a lot of when we're younger, but as we get older, we make less. Could supplementing with it help? Maybe. Studies have been done with, where it doesn't do a whole lot for people who are young taking it, but people who are older and exercising, it showed some effects. And I think some of that was done with, doing it intramuscular, right? They're just shooting it into these people. And they're doing, high doses for short periods. So we don't know if taking like a DHEA pill, if it's good or bad. We just don't know, right? Suzanne Summers wrote whole books on it. You need to be taking this stuff. Look at me, I'm beautiful. Well, she's dead now, right? I don't know what killed her. She died of some kind of cancer. Who knows if that hurt her or not? I don't know. And neither do you. What I do know is that if you want clean air in your house, you're going to need a Jasper. JASPR, Jasper. Jasper.co/Vinnie. Put all those words in together. Jasper.co/Vinnie. JASPR.co/Vinnie. You save $300 every time. If you go to their site, the normal thing is just $200. Someone said to me the other day, it's like, I was scared. I put in Vinnie, Jasper.co/Vinnie, and it just showed the $200 discount. But when you get to checkout, it shows, oh no, it's not 200, it's 300 off. So you'll get there. You just have to go shopping, and at the end, they'll give you the discount. If you get 2 Jaspers, you'll get $600 off. If you get 3, you'll get $900 off. You've basically gotten 1 for free if you bought 3. Jasper.co, I've been talking about it here for a long time because it literally changed my life. You want, Chris was saying, what about this as an ergogenic? Yeah, cleaner air. You sleep better, you feel better, you'll exercise harder. Jasper.co/Vinnie. Go check it out right now. Chris, am I making sense so far? Because there's so much we can talk about in the world of ergogenics.
Yeah, I think let's talk a little bit about SARMS and peptides and then move into which ergogenics actually makes sense for people to take a look at. Because so far it sounds like all bad news, and it's really not. It's just most of the things that people talk about are the things that don't have a ton of science behind them, which is hilarious to me because the stuff that works is really basic stuff that has tons of science behind it, but no one talks about it because it's not fancy.
Well, before we get into SARMS, let's talk about 1 or 2 ergogenics that we know work. One being coffee, caffeinated coffee and/or tea. But coffee seems to do a great job when it comes to ergogenics, right? People think, oh, it's just a stimulant and this, that, and the whole thing. The perceived effort when you work out while you're having coffee is much lower, both aerobically and anaerobically, than it is if you didn't have coffee at all. We also know that for each cup of coffee you drink every day, you have a lower risk of overall heart disease, right? And look, people say, oh, caffeine's a drug. Okay, maybe so, but it's inert, right? And we've been drinking coffee for eons, thousands of years. No one's ever died from a cup of coffee. As a matter of fact, next to water is probably the healthiest thing you can drink, right? When I played college football, we had one of those, those big, there were 2 of them, the big giant thing, the big tower of coffee. We had those when we were walking into the locker room at Tulane. They had 2 of those where you could just fill up a cup right there. And while you're getting dressed, drink a cup of coffee. They knew back then that, they used to do these commercials, the coffee generation, the coffee achievers, right? We knew back then that you do better on coffee than not doing on coffee. And coffee is one of those things go back and forth. And I get it. I own a coffee company, and I'm not saying you have to buy my coffee. You go buy the cheapest coffee in the world, Folgers. works just as good. Doesn't taste as good, but it works just as good or just as well, I guess I should say. So, yeah, that's an ergogenic. Also, creatine, creatine monohydrate, to be more specific, is the most studied supplement on the planet. We knew it was good for athletes, right? It works within your Krebs cycle. Our body makes this stuff naturally, so you don't want to take a lot of it, but you can supplement with it. We also get it from animal protein. Surprise, surprise. But if you take a little extra, it can help in the Krebs cycle so that you can contract muscles for a little longer and get, squeeze more energy out of every drop, pretty much. We know this to be fact. Taking more ain't better. We know that. Now there's studies showing that it has a lot to do with brain health. Health is helping women with menopause. And if you get a bad night's sleep or you had to stay up and do an all-nighter or whatever, for whatever reason, taking a lot more, like a copious amount of creatine the next day, upwards of 20 grams, could literally wipe out the feeling of not getting sleep. Now, if you're doing that over and over again, good luck. But if something happened one night, your kid was throwing up all night, you got a hard day at work the next day, instead of taking you 5 grams in the morning, take 10 grams, and then at lunchtime, take another 10 grams, and you'll make it through that day. Right? That's what I'm talking about. If you're trying to rely on this stuff day in and day out, just taking that kind of creatine and missing out on sleep, good luck. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, will beat getting good sleep, period. End of story. Chris?
I think the other one, and you mentioned it earlier, is just protein. Getting real, complete protein is something that people need to pay attention to. And we're starting to see, I think we talked about this like September or October of last year. Vinnie, all of the food companies, even Starbucks now has protein lattes. Now, if you look at it, it's hot garbage like most of the stuff from Starbucks. But people are finally coming around to understanding the importance of protein. If you have to get it from a powder, you can get it from a powder. Just make sure you're getting real protein. Get something like whey or egg white protein. That's not going to be filled with a whole bunch of other crap. But the ideal way to do that is with red meat, chicken, eggs, and fish, like what you were talking about earlier. And if
Right.
you're taking those 3 things, creatine, caffeine, and protein, that covers 90% of the effects that you're going to hear people talking about from all of the wide range of things. You can take caffeine on its own, but if you want to take it up a notch, drink coffee, you get all of the anti-inflammatory benefits, all of the additional benefits of taking it in the whole form versus taking the powder. Same thing anywhere else. The only thing you can't really do that with is creatine. You can eat more steak, but you can't supplement that way. Does that make sense? So if you want to
Makes sense
top
to me,
those
yeah.
levels off, you want to be looking at a creatine supplement. But other than that, in terms of increasing athletic performance, Vinnie, is there anything that you think people need to look at from an ergogenic or an athletic improvement perspective to really get the most out of their workouts?
Well, being well hydrated is always number one, right? So making sure you have a proper amount of water, just drinking early. In other words, if you're not drinking all day and saying, oh, I'm going to the gym in an hour and you just try to start guzzling water, you can't hydrate that way. You want to make sure that you're drinking water consistently throughout the day, getting your electrolytes in, because, we talk about this in the diet. We don't get everything we need anymore. We know that we're lacking in magnesium. Almost every American is lacking in magnesium. We don't get it from the food anymore because of all of the monocropping that goes on and everything else. Same with electrolytes. If you want the water to count and you want to feel it during your workout, take an electrolyte. And I'm not talking about Gatorade here or Powerade or Sport Aid. If you don't want to take my product, which is Ultra Salt, might I recommend S caps or salt sticks. I'm not here to try to sell you my product, even though it is superior to those two. Those are the only other two that I used to take before I made one myself. So there are different ways to do that. Um, and by the way, it's kind of like taking an ergogenic anyway, because you're topping yourself off. You're going to give yourself the best chance to have the best workout. And if you're not working out that day, you're going to give yourself the best chance to not feel sluggish, not have headaches, not going, oh, I'm just tired and I don't feel like, and you're yawning throughout the day. None of that happens when you have enough water and enough. My wife used to say to me sometimes, no, I got a little brain fog. It's like, you know what? Go drink some water. Get 2 8-ounce glasses of water in you. You're going to feel instantly better. And she does a thing now where she goes, if I feel weird or whatever, I just drink water and I feel better.
Hungry is
Yeah.
another one. Most
Hmm.
people don't know the difference because they're not properly hydrated. So you go, oh, I'm hungry. If you're somebody that's struggling on the weight side of this, before you go eat something, unless it's obviously a mealtime, right? In between meals,
Right.
drink some water. And a lot of times that will curb that. It will even curb the hangry, right? You don't need a Snickers. You probably just need some water and some electrolytes.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that when I do the consults, they'll say, I wake up at 3 in the morning and I'm starving. It's like, keep a glass of water next to the bed and drink the water, and you're going to realize that you weren't actually hungry, you were thirsty. And it works. It just plain and simple, it works. Right?
Absolutely. So, Vinny, now that people have a better idea of what they should be looking at, let's talk about the giant elephant, or should I say the Tyrannosaurus Rex in the room, which are peptides and SARMs. I'm going to lump those together because they're used the same way. They're not technically the
Okay.
same thing, but people will get a pretty good idea of what they are. Most people are familiar with peptides now because of GLP-1s, right? Your
Hmm.
Wegovys and all of that happy stuff, which, by the way, I don't think we've talked about it here yet, but you and I were talking about it on the VIP call the other day. Uh, have you seen any of the articles about the new side effect from GLP-1s?
Every day there seems to be a new side effect. What was it again? I'm going to remember it when you tell me.
Scurvy.
Yeah, scurvy. Something we haven't, it's pirate days the last time scurvy was around now.
All of the headlines were like, a pirate disease on the comeback, right?
Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to get right into SARMs and right into peptides. So, Chris, let's give a definition of SARMs. It's an acronym.
Yeah, it's selective androgen receptor modulators. And peptides are peptides. So
Okay,
small chemical chains.
right. Okay. All right, so explain how SARMs are different than steroids. Pretend I'm in second grade and give me the definition.
So my understanding of this, and correct me if you understand this differently, a
Hmm.
steroid directly increases things like testosterone, right? A
Hmm.
SARM, which is designed to modulate your receptors, is more of like the precursors to that. So theoretically, instead of giving you a massive dose of testosterone, it increases your ability to create testosterone or to burn fat, some of those kinds of things. So they're modulating specific things rather than it being a your favorite scientific word, Vinny, a bolus of
Hmm.
testosterone. It's turning specific things on in your body to achieve a specific result, be it increasing testosterone, burning more fat, any of those kinds of things.
Okay. Good job. Now, the problem is most people will go, well, wait a minute, I'm doing this naturally. No, you're not. This drug is causing you to do something. A lot of drugs work this way, right? If your body's not doing it by itself, taking something to cause your body to do it will also have side effects. SARMs come with side effects, and these side effects can be dangerous, very dangerous. People have died from them. A lot of these bodybuilders started going, wait, I'm not taking all this. I'm cutting back on this. I'm stacking with SARMs and everything else. They never saw their 30th birthday. I'm not making this up. People thought it was a free-for-all, but it's not. And now, because everyone's on a GLP-1, which is a peptide, they're looking at other peptides. There's a peptide for everything, Chris. Did you know there's a peptide that can make you horny? I'm not kidding. Like they basically have like a Spanish fly version of the peptide.
Do you know my favorite peptide, Vinny? I think you and I have talked about this.
Is this BP 157, which everyone asked me about? Or
melanotan, which triggers melanin, so it gives you a full body tan, but the side effect of it is it's basically Viagra.
Oh, really?
So you get a little bit of both with that one. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the one that I'm thinking about that makes women want to have sex too.
Probably.
It's not. Yeah, there's one that you can take and boom, all of a sudden, okay, anything that does that to your body that fast, you're not wondering what else is doing, right? And everyone goes, well, BP 157 say if it just causes your body to blah, blah, blah. It's like, when did you become a scientist, number one? You know, what, you read it on the internet, so now you're a damn scientist? Because the internet never gets things wrong. Not that I've ever seen. Oh, wait, that's right. They get everything wrong. They get everything wrong. But you see the point I'm making here, right? It's, if it's causing your body, if it's making your body protect something, it can also make something grow in an abnormal way, including cancer cells, which brings me to steroids. People ask me all the time, it's like, what do you have against HGH, human growth hormones? Well, it doesn't just cause your body to grow new cells and muscles and bones and ligaments and tendons. If you're susceptible to cancer, it will make that grow too. If you already have cancer, it could just magnify it and you could be dead in no time. What do you have against, what's the one? HRT, right? Hormone replacement therapy. Nothing. Take it. Fine. But just know that it does not come free of side effects. And then there's TRT. You see, it's the same stuff. They call it different things for different people. HRT, you see, it sounds good. This is hormone replacement therapy, Chris. And I know women are going to go, oh, what, we're not supposed to feel good? No, I'm not saying that you shouldn't take it. I'm just letting you know it ain't a free lunch. And I also know that it's helped a lot of women. I know this because I talk to these women and like, I was about to kill myself, or I felt like crap all the time. This has changed my life. I feel young again. I feel good again. Okay, that's great. But don't think you're doing that without causing an effect somewhere else. And dudes, just because you can't get it up, or you can't get it up like you used to, or it doesn't get as hard as a penny nail, taking TRT ain't your thing. And if you think, oh, I'm going to take that, I'm going to go to the gym and pump up a little bit. Okay, what are you doing? Literally, what are you doing? You're going to put yourself in that kind of jeopardy just to go fucking bench press? Are you insane? That's an insane notion. Well, then, I couldn't lose fat and I couldn't put on muscle. Well, you know what? You weren't trying hard enough. Sorry.
You know what raises testosterone naturally, Vinny?
Working out? Yelling into a mic?
Lifting heavy things. Eating correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Getting sunlight and vitamin D. All of those things will increase your testosterone naturally. And if you don't have those three areas dialed in, you're not getting regular sunlight, you're not supplementing with vitamin D if that's something that you need to do, you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well at night, and you're not lifting heavy things, there's zero reason to look at TRT as a man until you've done those other things. I'm sure there's one exception to that, but generally speaking, there's no reason to look at that. Fix everything else and then figure it out.
And by the way, you're right there, Chris, because most people don't look at everything else first. They just look at, I could just take this, I can inject this or put this pellet in or rub this cream on me or whatever, and it's going to be fine. Well, okay, so now you're saying you're going to be on that for the rest of your life? Because that's basically what you're saying. That I'm going to just do this for the rest of my life.
It's the shortcuts that are the problem. And I was having this conversation just the other day about GLP-1s. The biggest problem beyond the side effects that I see with GLP-1s is it puts you into a hamster wheel because it's not paired, for most people at least, it's not paired with, hey, fix your shit, right? It's
Right.
do this, you will lose weight. Cool. You want to stop taking GLP-1s and keep eating protein Doritos? You're going to get fat again
Right.
if you don't fix the underlying issue. It's not to say that GLP-1s have never helped anybody, because they have. But using that as the shortcut to fixing the bigger problem, just like using TRT as a shortcut to fix the bigger problem, you miss the entire point of fixing the underlying issue, and all you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on a grenade wound, right? You're going
Yeah.
to stop a little bit of bleeding, but it's not really going to do anything for you long term. And the side effects, especially if you're not fixing all of the other stuff that you're doing wrong, are not worth it.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And, I talk to these folks every day. You know, some people, they're at the beginning of their GLP-1 thing, and that's fine. And I'm happy for them. They're losing weight. But while I'm talking to them, I'm trying to get them to understand, can I get you to stop working out? Can I get you to eat right? And that's usually why they call me. They want to eat right, right? They started doing this, but they don't want, I get it. People want to do it. Let's get this rolling and then teach me how to eat. Fine. But it's not just teach me how to eat, it's teach me how to eat and work out. Because what we know from GLP-1s is that you're going to lose more muscle than you're going to lose by just losing weight by itself. No matter what you do, if you're losing weight, you're going to lose muscle. It just comes with the program. Where you might lose 15 or 20% of your muscle naturally, if you're losing weight, you could lose up to 50. And some people are saying 60% if you're taking a GLP-1 and you're not exercising at the same time. I think I told the story of the lady in the gym. It might have been on a VIP group. Chris, I talk into this mic so much, I can't remember where I say what. Lady in the gym, really tall woman, like 6'1", really tall woman. And she was a good looking woman, but now all of a sudden, she was a little older. So she had little hips on her and the whole thing, a little saddlebaggy looking thing. It's all gone. But now her ass is completely flat. And the muscle tone she had in her upper body, it's all gone. She almost looks like she was ravaged by cancer. I asked the guy at the gym, the owner's name is Mike. I said, Mike, does she, he goes, no, GLP-1s. She's all proud of it. She can't even fill out the tights anymore. The tights are baggy. Can you imagine saggy ass in a tight? Poof. Come on. Right? Where she's going to stay on the GLP-1s, but she had to lose that weight so badly, that quickly, that now she looks like that. Now she's got a different problem. See, the problems don't stop. And now, if she doesn't get off of the GLP-1, she's going to have a whole different problem. And I hate to go down this road like this, but that's the whole deal. Everybody's looking for a way out. And the way out, the best way out is to do it naturally. Eat right, cut out all processed foods, cut out sugars and grains, seed oils, eat less, exercise more. It's simple, but that's boring. What I talk about here is boring, right? I get it. I get it.
It's it's easier to do it the other way, and because we don't see the long-term effects, you see the instant weight loss or you feel better because you started doing TRT, you assume that it's doing a good thing for you. And the truth is, the boring stuff is the stuff that works, whether it's weight loss, exercise, or what we're talking about today, ergogenics, right? What are the things we said that are the best ways to improve your athletic performance? Caffeine,
Coffee and
creatine, and
creatine.
real protein, right? So coffee,
Yeah.
creatine, and animals, right?
Yeah.
Eat real
Period.
food, drink a couple cups of coffee, and if you want to supplement with something, supplement with creatine. It's the most studied supplement on the planet. We know that it has great effects on exercise, and it looks like it has some really powerful effects on the brain. If you're doing anything other than that, you really want to take a look at what you're doing because chances are you're going to fall into one of those shortcut traps rather than doing
And by the
something that's
way,
going to
folks,
work well long term.
before we go, there's people who ask me about things like citrulline and L-arginine and L-arginine and all this kind of stuff. Ornithine, I'm sorry. And yeah, again, all of that in clinical trials, in vitro, and all this different stuff, they've gotten it to work to a small degree, but it's never worked orally. And again, if it did, the IOC and WADA would, just right away, nope, you can't do it, can't do it, but they don't, right?
The other thing, and it's not the point of this conversation today, but it's something that is very common in the supplement market, is
Hmm.
fairy dusting. Are you familiar with that term, Vinny? Where
No,
they'll
this is the first I'm hearing.
so they'll take something like arginine that has some or beta alanine. That's a big one, right?
Oh, that's always my
Beta
favorite. Yeah,
beta alanine has some decent science behind it, but the dosage of it like makes you itchy, right? The dose that you would need to get
right.
is not a dose that anybody would take. But a lot of these pre-workouts or ergogenic pills will have beta alanine because they know it's something that's in the headlines. But instead of, I don't know what the dosage is, 200 milligrams is the study dose or whatever, they'll put two just so that they can have it on the label as something that's in there, and that'll be the thing that they're marketing because there's some science behind it. And when you really dig into a lot of these other things, you have to take ridiculous dosages of them to get them to work orally, or they just don't work at all because they studied them in rats and went, yeah, that probably worked. And
Well,
now they're in your supplements.
let's use beta alanine as because that's a good one. I'm glad you brought it up, and I get what you're saying. They put enough in, just a fairy dust amount to say, hey, it's in there. You're going to get the benefits. If and I don't know what it is, but let's say 200 milligrams is the amount you need in order to have any kind of ergogenic effect. Folks, it will make you so flush to take that much of that. And when, Chris said it makes you feel itchy. It feels like you're naked with nothing but like rough wool all over your body. And your whole body turns red and purple. And, it's just might even cause a headache at that amount. You want to walk around feeling like that for the next 5 hours? Because that's what's going to happen.
Vinny, 4 to 6 grams per day is the
Jesus.
studied dosage.
That's a lot.
And the suggestion that they have is, oh, take it in 1 gram servings to avoid the tingling or the what's it called, paresthesia, right?
Yeah.
Like to avoid the giant flush. So basically, you have to take it all day, every day, or you walk around looking like a raspberry drug addict, just itching yourself all
Yeah.
over the gym.
Well,
Doesn't
you'll
seem like
see
fun.
those guys at the gym. They look purple. Their face, they look like they're about to die from hypertension, right? That's all that is. They're taking a ton of pre-workout that have alanine in it and niacin. The niacin. It's the same as the niacin flush. It's the same flush. They're taking all this stuff to get blood flow, so they get the big veins while they're working out. It doesn't do anything. If it did anything, I would do it. It doesn't do anything, right? So we can make that the final word, right? I think people get what we're getting at here.
Yeah. If you're looking to boost performance, 3 simple things. If you need some energy before you're getting into the gym, have some caffeine, ideally in the form of something like coffee. You know, if you're a tea
Yeah.
person, you can do that. Don't There's no reason to buy a pre-workout powder, any of those kinds of things. All that's going to do is make you itchy from beta alanine or give you 500 milligrams of caffeine, which is my favorite. You know, you look at the back of a pre-workout jar and it's like 600 milligrams of caffeine. It's like, oh my God, that's what, Vinny, six espressos, seven
Yeah.
espressos, because you're talking 90 to 100 milligrams of caffeine. Yeah, that's what you
Right.
need before you go to the gym, is a head exploding amount of caffeine. A little bit of coffee, some real protein, and if you want to add something in, add in some creatine.
By
Anything
the
else?
way, yeah, I might as well throw this in. You know, I always say it's the three teens: protein, nicotine, and caffeine. People ask me about nicotine, and because a lot of like Jillian Michaels, oh, take all the nicotine you want, and the whole thing. A small amount of nicotine has kind of like caffeine has shown some kind of results, but and nicotine by itself is inert. If you don't, I'm not talking about smoking cigarettes, folks. If they make these nicotine patches or nicotine gum or nicotine, like you put it in your mouth like
Pouches.
dip or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. And I'm not saying you should even do it, but nicotine is inert by itself when it's not mixed with tar and everything else in a cigarette that's going to kill you. But why do it when you could get everything you need from coffee? That's the way I look at it. So, some people like putting a little pouch in their mouth and go work out. That seems to be a thing right now. I don't know what else they're mixing in those pouches. I don't know anything about them.
Doesn't nicotine constrict blood flow?
I think it does. Can we look that up really fast? I'm not, I don't know enough about it. I just know that it's inert and it's not going to really hurt you,
Yeah, it
but it might not be
reduces
good.
peripheral blood flow and increases blood pressure and heart rate.
Okay.
Probably not the thing you should be taking before a workout. Just think.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Oh, the workouts, folks. Go check out, go to vinnytortorich.com/workout and check that out. vinnytortorich.com/workout. I see every day where people, because I see everyone that comes in and signs up. A lot more people are getting just a 1 day workout. I don't know. At first everyone was getting like give me all three for price of two. We still get a ton of those, but I see a lot of people just honing in on the workouts they want. So go get what you need, folks. Go get what you need. VinnyTortorich.com/workout. Go there right now. Check it out. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnyTortorich.com. When you click through the banner, it puts a little coal on the fire, gets my train down the track. I'm able to keep the show free for a gazillion years in a row. 1 gazillion years. So go check it out. If you want to complain about anything, Chris is on X. Go check out Chris, NSNG Chris on X, and you can complain to him. Oh, Chris, I almost feel I'll bring it up anyway. The stuff about our ultra salt, and like literally we have one guy complaining about this out of everyone. A couple of other people have asked us about it, and we've given them the answer. Folks, it's the same great ingredients. Sometimes companies will micronize the ingredients differently, and they won't just dissolve in water. And that's what's going on there. Can I say that any other way? Did I make that very clear?
Yeah, so in the past, it's almost always mixed well with water. This time it's not, and it just has to do with how they blended everything and the form
Right.
of the magnesium that we use in the ultra salt. If you're a mixer, we love you. We've talked to our partners, and they've started implementing what they call, my new favorite scientific word, mixability testing, before they
Right.
run the formula to make sure that it doesn't happen again. But this most recent batch, just take it as the capsule, or you will find I think the terminology that I saw the other day was a floating white island
Yeah.
on top of your
Yeah.
water. it's gonna mix a little bit, but it's not gonna mix nearly as well as it has
By the way,
previously.
we've never said that this product is meant to be opened and mixed. It's just something that I personally do. I do it with my water bottles here. And by the way, I still put them in here, and I'm on the ones now that float on top too. I just give it a really hard shake before I open it up and drink it down, and it's fine. It's just fine. Um, but the product is still the same great product. I just thought I'd mention that to you guys. We're not effing up the product or whatever. And I think someone's trying to make a case. We've offered that customer his money back. I'm not here to screw anybody over for any reason or whatever. I just want to make sure all of you guys are happy, right? So that's what's going on there. But since people do like to open them up and make sure it mixes, we're working on that. We're always looking to improve at purevitaminclub.com. So there you have it. I'm going to play a little music on the way out here, Chris. On behalf of Chris Schaffer, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living, and let's do it with just a little bit more of Mr. Jimmy